In this island, the elites can break every law and walk away completely untouched. For a hefty fee, they can literally do the unthinkable to anyone they desire, and the authorities will make it disappear. A place where innocent people become a part of the attraction. While this sounds exactly like the story surfacing in the released documents right now, it is actually the plot of the movie Infinity Pool. This film reveals the mechanics of invincibility and exactly how the system is designed so they can always get away with it. It also tells us about a technology the elite might already have. Today, we are decoding Infinity Pool to reveal the dark secrets it tells us about the island. Infinity Pool follows James, a struggling writer visiting an isolated high-security resort in a third-world country. The island is heavily guarded, and the guests are warned that crossing the resort walls is a death sentence. But when a wealthy couple claiming to be fans lures James and his wife into a dead zone outside the gates, they break the only rule. The adventure instantly turns from paradise to nightmare when James hits a local man with his car. Instead of calling for help, the couple convinces him to flee the scene. When the authorities eventually track him down, the punishment is death, but James is offered another solution. In this country, money buys a biological double, an exact clone that takes your place for the execution. James agrees, watching from the sidelines as his own flesh and blood is sacrificed for his freedom. But instead of leaving the island, he is drawn deeper into a shadow group of tourists who treat the island as a playground for the unthinkable. Knowing their wealth makes them literally invincible. This movie appears to be a cinematic recreation of the information surfacing in the 2026 files regarding the disgraced Financier's operation. Just like the resort in Infinity Pool, his system was a rule-free paradise where guests could indulge in the unthinkable. He ensured his powerful inner circle never faced consequences, using money, favors, or blackmail to make the evidence vanish. In the film, the authorities work directly with the criminals to facilitate the cover-up, and many feel we are watching this exact scenario play out in real time today. While the public knows who's guilty, the system forces us to accept a manufactured narrative to protect the elite. This movie takes us to the ultimate extreme, the ability to literally buy a biological clone to take the blame. Now, while some see this as a simple analogy for the rich buying their way out of trouble, it points to a much darker possibility in the real world. I'm not talking about the Hollywood celebrity cloning theories often discussed online. I'm talking about the use of body doubles and exit strategies for the 1% of the 1%. Take the Financier's death, for example. There is a persistent theory that he never died in that cell. Instead of the reported ending, many believe powerful associates used a body double or a dummy to stage the incident, allowing him to flee the country. Considering what was recently revealed about the authorities using a prop body when moving him, this is no longer far-fetched. A man with that much leverage kept an insurance policy, a kill switch. If he goes down, they all go down. That gives the elite every reason to keep him alive and replace him with a double. In a world where they have access to the most advanced technology on Earth, a different solution like the one in Infinity Pool makes perfect sense. One of the most revealing moments in Infinity Pool is the ritual mass scene. When these wealthy tourists prepare to enter the dead zones, they don't just hide their faces, they transform. It's a direct callback to the ballroom ritual in Eyes Wide Shut. If you want to see more about that, make sure to watch this video after this one. This isn't just about protecting an identity, it's about detachment. The mask allows the public figure to vanish, so the monster underneath can take over. In the movie, the mask isn't used because they're afraid of being caught. It's used because it gives them the psychological pass to commit the unthinkable. Then there's the title itself, Infinity Pool. It's the ultimate metaphor for the elite's perspective. An infinity pool creates the illusion of water going on forever with no edges and no drop-off. For those on the island, this represents infinite freedom. They believe their wealth has removed the edges of the world. No borders, no laws, and no consequences. But as the movie shows, that's a trap. Because even when you think the pool is infinite, the system has a way of closing in on you the second you become a liability to the group. Most importantly, look at the foreign tourist protocol. In the film, the different solution is strictly for wealthy outsiders. While the local population is subject to brutal primitive laws, the tourists can run amok because they have the ultimate safety net, the clone. In Infinity Pool, money buys a biological double that takes the fall for your crimes. It shows us how they use a clone to escape prison and watch their own double be executed. But what's fascinating is that there's another movie that has an eerily similar story. While Infinity Pool shows us how they use clones for their freedom, This film reveals the horrifying possibility of how they use them for their immortality. Released in 2005, Michael Bay's The Island presents a world where the elite have moved past simple legal immunity into the realm of biological immortality. The film is set in a high-tech underground facility where hundreds of people live highly controlled lives. They are told the outside world has been contaminated and that their only hope is to win a lottery to go to the island, the last remaining paradise on Earth. But the reality is far more sinister. These people aren't survivors, they're an insurance policy. They're high-priced clones, exact biological matches for the world's wealthiest sponsors. When a sponsor needs a new liver, a heart, or even a surrogate to carry a child, their clone is harvested, and the lottery win is revealed to be a death sentence. Now, while I'm not necessarily saying we have underground cloning facilities operational today, look at the logical parallels to the movie we see in the 2026 reports. This monster filled this island with innocent victims so his associates could let loose and feel alive. He offered them something no one else could, an escape. But the escape was powered by the poor souls who were tricked onto the island, just like the clones in the movie. These people were promised modeling careers or a better life, only to be used as a resource for a powerful individual. In the movie, the clones are treated as nothing more than body parts. On the Financier's island, the victims were treated with the same level of cold dehumanization. Their lives meant nothing to the elite because in their eyes, they were less than human. They weren't people. They were just a different solution to the elite's boredom and darkness. While the 2026 files hasn't confirmed cloning labs on the island, they do reveal a massive interest in private medical experimentation. The unsealed documents detail the financier's obsession with his New Mexico property, the Zorro Ranch, and his plans to seed the human race with his own DNA. This shows a level of private medical ambition rarely seen in the public eye. If a different solution like the one in Infinity Pool or the island were to exist, these are the exact types of isolated, high-security dead zones where that research would be conducted, far away from public oversight. I want to be clear, I'm not necessarily saying this technology is fully operational or sitting in a lab right now, but let's look at the logic. If this type of advanced cloning were to exist, who would be the ones holding the keys? It wouldn't be a public corporation or a government agency subject to oversight. It would be a biological monopoly held strictly by the 1% of the 1%. This is technology that would require billions in black budget funding and absolute secrecy, the kind of isolation you only find in a dead zone or a private island. The elite wouldn't want this tech to be public because it would ruin the purpose of owning it. They would want it as their private insurance policy, a tech that only they are worthy of possessing. In Infinity Pool, the clones are used to bypass the law, a get-out-of-jail-free card for the untouchables. But the island takes this theoretical monopoly to a much darker level. In the film, they aren't just cloning themselves to escape a prison cell. They are cloning themselves to escape death. They treat these clones as biological spare parts, kept in a controlled environment until a heart, a lung, or a liver is needed for the original. I believe if this technology existed, this is exactly how it would be used. A system to live forever while the rest of the world follows the rules. The elite have always been obsessed with living forever. As we saw in my The Beauty Breakdown, the elite poured billions of dollars into achieving just that. More often than people realize, the reality is revealed in plain sight. While I'm not saying these films were directly made about his evil or his operation, I know these movies are funded by men just like him, elites who take enjoyment in mocking the masses. When we look at movies like Infinity Pool and The Island, we aren't just looking at entertainment. We are looking at the reenactment of a world they are working so hard to establish. We've seen the dead zones in the 2026 documents, those isolated pockets of the world where the law stops at the front gate. These are the places where the elite can afford a different solution. In Infinity Pool, that solution was a biological double to take the fall in a courtroom. In The Island, it was a clone for spare parts. Whether it is legal immunity or biological immortality, the goal is the same. The elite want to play God. They don't want to live by the same rules that we live by. Think about the cloning technology. If the technology for cloning or high-level life extension were to exist, it would never be for us. It would be the ultimate insurance policy for the 1% of the 1%. They don't want to live alongside the rest of humanity. They want to transcend the very rules that govern the rest of us. That is exactly why we hear of these circles having no issues doing the unthinkable to innocent souls. They believe their money and status has made them gods, and we are nothing but their servants. The 2026 files, from the flight logs to the seating plans at Zorro Ranch, show us a mindset obsessed with legacy and control at a cellular level. It is a dual-track reality. For the public, there are rules, laws, and finite lifespans. For those in those exclusive circles, there is only the infinite pool, a place where the water goes on forever, and the edges of the world simply do not exist. The question we have to ask ourselves is simple. Are we watching cinematic fantasy, or are we watching the manual for how they intend to stay untouchable forever? I want to know what you think. Are these nothing but movies, or are these stories telling us what is coming? Because to me, these films have been revealing exactly what happens behind the scenes. It's just like we saw in the movie Ready or Not, where the elite literally sacrifice a new family member to keep an ancient pact alive. If you want to see a breakdown on the movie that completely exposed the elite, watch this video right now. For more content that goes a step further without censorship, check out my Patreon for over 60 exclusive videos not available on here. And if you like unfiltered content that reveals the truth the mainstream media would never tell you, make sure to like this video and subscribe to join the truth movement. My videos are also available on Spotify for those who want to watch on the go. Well, that's it for this one. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.